Are you tired of not feeling like you're that bitch? Well, you've come to the right place. Welcome to That Bitch Energy, the podcast, where we're all about tuning into your highest self and growing your awareness, presence, and consciousness while keeping it fun, relatable, modern, and grounded. Let's get into it and embody that bitch energy from within. Ain't nobody seen a bitch like me. I'ma come up on ya. Ain't nobody warned ya. Welcome back to another episode of That Bitch Energy, the podcast. I am your host, Bianca, and I cannot tell you how excited I am for this episode. We are going to be talking to an amazing yogi who is here to change how you think of yoga. I'm so excited to introduce you to Etai. Etai is a yoga instructor on a mission to make yoga accessible, transformative, and empowering for everyone, no matter where you are on your journey. What makes Etai's story even more inspiring is that they are sharing this gift while solo traveling across Asia, exploring the world, and sharing powerful, soulful practices through their videos that remind us that yoga can be done anywhere. It's not just something you do in a yoga studio. And let me tell you, Etai's energy is completely magnetic. Etai's spirit is so uplifting. And Etai's commitment to helping other people connect with their bodies and tap into their fullest potential is truly beautiful. I can't wait to dive into this journey with you guys about yoga, self-discovery, and living life unapologetically on your own terms. So whether you're new to yoga, a seasoned practitioner, or just looking for some inspiration to embrace your own power, this episode is for you. So everybody, without further ado, let's welcome Etai to That Bitch Energy, the podcast. Welcome Etai to That Bitch Energy, the podcast. How are you this morning for you?
I'm so wonderful. Thank you kindly for having me on, Bianca. It's a beautiful morning in Thailand, and there's nothing I would rather do than speak with you.
Etai, I just want to say I'm really honored that you even are here doing this with me, where we can create this like divine, perfect little bubble that we're in right now. So I just want to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really, truly feel honored.
I appreciate you for even asking me to come on and give me the opportunity to kiki with you. It's going to be so fun.
Yes. I have to say before I ask you anything, I have been doing one of your practices that you have shared so kindly with all the world of like the jaw. I think I sent you a video of me doing the jaw like the opposite instead of like clenching the jaw, so like stretching it the other way or strengthening it the other way. And I have noticed a change, and I'm very grateful to have found that wisdom that I would have never found, I think, without you. Or in time, it would have come to me, but I'm just grateful it came to me in the way that you offered me that wisdom.
It makes me so happy. I'm so happy that that technique was able to improve the feeling of your jaw. And I think you said the key thing, which is that if it didn't come through me, it would have come to you through a different channel. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just time for that message to reach you. And I'm just so grateful to be an instrument of the universe in that way, where I find my life's purpose to be delivering messages to people who need them when they need them. And so thank you for affirming my purpose by saying that. It means a lot.
Yes, and you do it so effortlessly. I'm going to be
Mm.
honest. I'm so inspired by that. I'm like, give me that little light or that little like color. I think it's beautiful. So thank you.
Mm. It's my absolute pleasure. And I ain't going to stop. So there's plenty more where that came from.
Yes, unapologetic. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want to start with the question: when do you feel most aligned with your highest, truest self? What I like to say, that bitch energy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many ways to get there. And I do believe that the practices we take to get there are kind of the purpose of life. You know what I mean? And I mean, I could choose a million things, but today it's that walk. I don't know
Mm.
if you've ever had that feeling where you're walking down the street, you're people watching, and you're not really conscious of your own gait, as it were, but you're seeing people who are, a little more shy and introverted. And then you're seeing
Mm-hmm.
people who might as well be on the runway. And I recently read a essay by one of my favorite authors from England named Zadie Smith. She talks about how people throughout history, and she namely mentions Marilyn Monroe, have used their walk as a way to attract everything that they desire. And of course, there are a
Mm.
million different ways to manifest and affirm yourself. But for me, it's been walking recently, and I'm always so curious about different kind of practices and different doors through which we can all get into the same room. You know what I'm saying? But that caught me at the perfect time because I'm a student of Thich Nhat Hanh, who's an amazing Vietnamese Buddhist monk, and he talks about walking meditation, which is the opposite of like a runway model walk, where you're stepping maybe like one pace every 2 seconds. It's like dramatically slow, and it's not for the point of getting anywhere, just walking for the sake of walking. It's like the same meditation you would
Mm.
do sitting with your legs crossed, but just out on the street. And so I thought that dichotomy was so interesting, the fact that some Buddhist monks walk and find it as effective as people who walk down the street with that bitch energy, like the whole world belongs to them. And I hope to embody both. And that's what makes me feel like I'm my highest self right now.
Wow. Let I'm just gonna let that sink in a second. That walk, that walk. I love that you say that. I sometimes forget that just as simple as walking can can change your day, like the way you show up and get out of bed, the way you walk even to the bathroom to brush your teeth or to take a shower or whatever it is you do in your mornings. um, I remember, just to kind of get off topic because you've inspired me to say this, is I used to walk like this
Mm,
everywhere, constantly looking down to where I'd almost always bump into people.
mm,
And so my walk, as simple as a walk, can really show you where someone is in their
mm,
thoughts and their heart. I obviously, when I was walking like this, was scared. My body language was kind of project or saying that without saying it, say it without saying the words. Um, and now I do notice I do that a lot less. I have my days. There's no perfect. Actually, everything is perfect, right? But I'm not always like this, and it's something I can be more conscious and mindful of. So I want to thank you for bringing that to everyone's attention here and to my attention, so I can continue to focus on my walk.
I mean, I totally relate to what you're saying about the
Mm.
transformation and the evolution of your walk as your inner engineering lubricates itself and makes itself more self loving, more efficient. I do believe that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, right? So the
Mm.
way you will, handwrite in your journal, the way you will walk down the street, the way you will pour a cup of tea is the same intention encoded in that is encoded in the way you treat the people you love the most, the way you make the greatest decisions of your life. So you can
Mm.
really find an analogy in a fractal form in the most minuscule things. So for me, walking is that. And for all the listeners who are out here resonating with this, something that I practice every day that I recommend to everybody is to put a reminder on your phone that repeats daily. Set it for a time you know you're going to be walking, maybe when you're commuting to work or when you're coming back home, and just set a notification that says, "How am I walking? How is my posture?" And it will just be a little inspiration for you to be conscious of it, because when it comes to
Mm.
breathing better, when it comes to smiling more, when it comes to walking in a fully embodied way, the goal is to just be conscious, because so often we are subconscious in a way that just makes us do things that we wouldn't do if we were conscious. So that reminder has done wonders for me, and I recommend it to everyone.
That's I'm letting this soak in. Truly, it's magical. Um, so I just want to say thank you. I'm soaking it in.
And thank you
Uh,
for sharing your story with your walk, because I totally resonate. And I think a lot of people will probably appreciate hearing that, because so often we don't talk about our insecurities or our moments that we look back and cringe on. But you
mhm.
know what they say? This is not my quote. I heard it somewhere. Don't kill the part of you that's cringe. Kill the part that cringes.
Yes. It's like how you're approaching it, how you're seeing the experience rather than.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to say it in like a different way. And I just love how you said that. I just really love it.
Mm. I mean, you had to walk with your head down in order to get where you are today.
Exactly.
Mm.
Drop the mic. Drop the mic. You had to
Don't
walk with
tempt
head
me. Don't
down.
tempt me. It's an expensive
Take care of your
mic.
mic. Yeah.
Yes.
I know. I know.
Metaphorical mic drop.
There we go. We go
Mm.
dropped.
Yes. Add in the sound effect if you must.
Right here. Um, I have another question. What first? Oh, I did not even say this yet, which I will be saying in the beginning of the pre-recording. Um, our lovely Etai is a yogi who is teaching beautiful, beautiful, accessible. How would you say that? Like it's an accessible yoga practice. Um, and they're just so beautiful. I just want to say thank you. So, with that, what first drew you to yoga in the first place? Like, was there like a specific moment that you saw it? Was there a specific moment that it came to you? What's that story like?
Great question. Thank you for that question. And I love telling this story. I grew up in New York City, and
Mhm,
I grew up thinking yoga was a fitness class, was a workout, was just stretching your body. And I never was very athletic growing up because I wasn't competitive, and all that was offered to me in school was sports.
mhm,
And I tried it, didn't resonate with me. The aggression in the competition wasn't what I needed, right? But then one day I was 20 years old. My mom took me to her hot yoga studio. And once again, it was just a workout class. They weren't getting into meditation, they weren't even getting into breath. But just by moving through those postures, I was able to connect with my body in a way I never could before. And
mm,
miraculously, as I was getting into all these postures, my thoughts started to change and I was addicted to it. I kept coming back and I realized a powerful what a powerful phenomenon the mind body connection really is, because I was um I had terrible anxiety, right? I was
mhm,
also addicted to marijuana. I was living that nocturnal lifestyle, not taking care of myself because I was not connected to my body. But once I actually started listening to my body, at that point I realized what I actually had to do in order to improve my thoughts, because they're
mm.
incredibly interconnected. And I went to this one yoga class where my teacher said a quote I'll never forget, which is listen to your body whisper so you don't have to hear it scream. And I've applied that to every matter in my life, because if you ignore something to the point of debilitating pain, is no way to live, right? But if you are able to listen to your body and study yourself acutely enough to know the first signs of something, you're going to avoid crisis mode 10 times out of 10. So anyway, I was going to this hot yoga studio every single day. And eventually it led me down an internet rabbit hole of the history of yoga, of the philosophy of yoga. I learned about breath work. I learned about Ayurveda. I learned about what I should and shouldn't eat, which is something I never considered before. And within 9 months,
Mhm.
I ended up going to Nepal to get my yoga teacher certification. And my life changed forever just by witnessing Nepali culture, including and excluding yoga. Like, that place is so different than the place I grew up in, and I fell in love. And I vowed to come back to Asia and continue studying yoga as I teach it online. So that's kind of my yoga origin story to answer your question.
That is gorgeous. Nepal, I've never been. Tell me, I feel like I'm not sure where yoga it comes from. India? Am I mistaken?
You are correct.
Okay, and in Nepal is in India?
Nepal borders India. Back in the
Okay,
day, the border was a little more blurry, but now they're two separate states. But there's lots of overlap in the culture.
got it. Okay. I'm like trying to make sure I'm seeing this correctly. So wow, that's beautiful. You probably really got to immerse yourself in that yogic, Ayurvedic, where it comes from culture. How
Yes,
how
yes.
beautiful. How
It was such a
beautiful
privilege.
yeah. Um yoga is yeah, it's transformational. I just love yoga and it changed my life as well. I actually was afraid to take the first class, and when I did, transformed.
Mm,
But I do have another question. Um, how do you stay inspired to post daily? I
mm,
find it so much fun to watch you post every single day, and I'm learning to look at yoga a little bit differently. Like
it's not just the perfect stance and the perfect pose. It's like all these other things as well that are simple things you can do
Mm.
in your day-to-day life, like literally right after you brush your teeth, in the shower, whatever it is. Like you're giving such great, easy, simple yogic practices. And how do you stay inspired to come up with something new every day?
There are two layers to this question, and I love that you asked this question because I think it's something that all artists, all creators of any kind, which is all humans, need to hear. Which is, first of all, I believe in the content, in terms of the message of the content, which is that yoga has changed my life, and I would feel horribly guilty and selfish hoarding all of these practices, right? I want to be as generous as possible and share them with other people because I saw how they transform my life, and I know they can do the same for so many other people. So that's number one, is that I feel a burning passion to get that
Mm,
content out. But on another level, it's like I have only been posting on social media as a, like I've only been posting on social media in a committed way
mhm,
for 6 to 8 months, something like that. And before that, my main squeeze was I was a musician. I'm still a musician, but that really occupied all my time. And I was in a band for 7 years, and we were in the studio every day making music. And the experience is very similar. The truth is that it doesn't matter what medium I'm expressing myself in. It has
mhm.
become a form of therapy. It's become a form of self reflection, like holding up a mirror up to my face and thinking about what's going through my brain, right? So making these videos is the same exercise for me. And I believe that we all have a creative gift in this earth, but the work that we have to do is unblocking that creative potential, where a lot of the time we're born with this pure, perfect orb of light around us, but we're programmed throughout our lives to criticize our inner artist and say, go, chase a bag and do a boring job, or your perspective is worthless, like it's not worth expressing yourself. And
Mm,
once you confront all of that resistance, then
mhm.
you come out on the other side as an artist who's unafraid. And I've woken up to the fact through that work that we are all just instruments for God to play, and
Mm.
no idea really belongs to us. But maybe the ultimate form of worship is opening yourself up to receive those transmissions from God. And the only way to maximize that is to show up every day.
Wow, magical. Truly magical what you're saying. And I'm letting it land because sometimes
Mm,
I'll just go off and start talking about something else.
mm,
Allowing ourselves to receive those messages, powerful. Showing up every day, powerful. I feel like if I don't show up every day, I'm also a musician. I just want to throw that out there.
mm,
Um, Me and Etai are freshly getting accommodated. So I feel like the more I show up to create, the more I receive the love and the messages from God, source, divine, Allah, whoever you want to call um, the higher power or yes, this divine energy. Um, that's when I feel like it comes easier. It's like just keep coming, keep showing up, keep trying. It could be the worst song, it could be the worst lyrics, it could be the ugliest sounding anything, and it doesn't matter. Just keep showing up, and I see that firsthand in my own experience. So um, thank you for reminding me that it is a daily showing up. I was listening to something that you were on, and you inspired me a lot to show up even more for myself when it comes to my art. And so I'm just grateful for your wisdom. Like, truly, truly grateful.
Thank you for receiving that message. And thank you for
Mhm.
sharing your own message, which is that inspiration is overrated. That's how I'm going to paraphrase what you just said. Because if you wait around for the perfect moment, it's like you are going to maybe reach 5% of your potential output. And on that note, I really
Mhm.
want to recommend a book to you and your audience. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I just started it, and it's called The Artist's Way. I'm on
I
week
have
one right
that.
now. Yo, have you read it?
No, okay, I started it and then I realized I needed to do it daily and I haven't read it all
Mhm.
the way.
So it's not like reading any other book because it requires
Yep.
about 30 minutes of work a day, and it's a 12-week course. But oh my god, it has changed my life already in the past 5 days, and I'm on week one, day five. I can't explain how much of an impact it's had on me as a creative, but also just as a human being walking through this life. Because the main crux of the work that you're doing is look how big these pages are. This is bigger than my head. And the assignment is every day to write 3 of these pages. And I'll show you the lines. Sorry, I'm not holding my mic up to my face.
That's okay.
Look how much writing that is. It's just lines of paper. So it takes me about 30 minutes every day to write 3 of those pages. I've always
Oh.
journaled, but I've always journaled, but I only journal for like 5 minutes a day. And
Mm.
now when I journal for 30 minutes a day, there are several moments where I'm like, I got nothing else to write about. Like, I got to stop. And only once you reach like your third or fourth wall do you actually start unearthing all this subconscious activity that you didn't want to confront. And so much
Mm.
comes up about for me, why I'm afraid to create, why I'm afraid to fully be embodied. And it's like spring cleaning for my subconscious brain, honestly. And yeah, I mean, I'm just getting started with this book. I'm sure there's a lot more magic in there, but that's just one little piece that has transformed everything for me. So to answer your question about how I stay inspired to create, this book is playing a major role in that.
Wow. I need to start it. Yours is really cool. It has the lines for you to write in,
Mhm.
like so you can journal right there, right there. Mine's like buy a journal and then
Mhm.
start. And for some reason, I haven't gotten to buy the journal, but I think in divine timing, I will get my journal. I will start when it's perfect. But you're inspiring me to start now. So I'm
Mhm.
like, I need to go get my journal and get to work.
Mm.
Yeah, it was recommended to me by someone so lovely, who I used to work with, and it's being brought to my attention again from you. So I feel like it's a sign.
I couldn't recommend it enough, and I'm so happy that it has already crossed your consciousness,
Hmm.
and I can't wait to hear about how it goes for you.
Yes. Um, it says 30 minutes a day in the morning.
It doesn't specify 30 minutes. That's just how long it takes me to write 3 of those pages. I recommend 30 minutes because that's kind of past the comfort zone of any sane person. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to push out of that in order to get to get to the inner layers of the onion.
Yes, get it all out. I love how you say it kind of like brings out the subconscious like programming. I think that's
Hmm.
kind of along the lines what you said, maybe not word for word. Um, because it's so easy for us to be distracted by phones and TVs and food and all the things like fill in your distraction here. And we all probably have a million. So sitting with ourselves becomes less and less and less, I feel like, over time with technology and technology and technology. And so I think it's an important practice. So I'm glad you brought that up. And that's what's so hard for me is like sitting and writing 3 pages. When I saw that I was going to have to do that, I was like, I can barely write for 5 minutes. Which is like this, this big, like of a paper, like this long for 5 minutes. And so I have my own fears I need to face to get this book started. Oh.
I mean, I do believe that most things that are hard, if even a little part of you wants to do the hard thing, it's worth doing. Because even if it sucks, you'll
Mm.
learn something about yourself along the way. I had the same reaction when I first started. I was scared when I read the introduction. I was like, this is a big commitment. And
Yeah.
I think everyone in our generation has some level of commitment issues just because of the nature. We have this illusion of infinite choice, right? Which
Mhm.
is just an illusion, but it's programmed us, to borrow your word, to think that we never have to commit to anything because there's always a better option out there. But
Right.
if you commit to something, it is so powerful because it's like self-respect. It's like, I know that what I bring to this, like, yes, we're speaking about the book here, but what I bring to either this book or to this project or to this ritual, it's about what I'm bringing to it. It's not about the ritual itself, and I have the power to make anything work for me. So although it's scary to commit to 30 minutes a day, it's once you make that promise to yourself, you realize how much self-respect you really have and how much ambition you have to treat yourself with such respect.
Mm. I love your I love your take on that, your
Mhm.
perspective. So I appreciate you sharing that. And yeah, I'm going to start. That's We're not going to give excuses anymore. um when you are in a maybe anxiety arises, depression. I don't know if you are battling depression, you don't have to say it here, but when you're in a not joyful mood, when it's a little
Mhm.
bit on the harder side, what are some steps you take to pull yourself out of that? Because I find it's really interesting to hear everyone else's take, because none of us do it the same, and I'd just love to hear your side.
I'm just letting that question land.
Mm,
For
yeah.
context, I used to have debilitating panic attacks. I used to have really, really intense anxiety and
Mm,
depression. I mean, fill in the blank, right? I used to smoke marijuana several times a day to self medicate. And what that did was suppress my emotions. I would bottle them up. I'll bottle them up until I would explode. And
mm,
what yoga and meditation has taught me is, once again, this quote: listen to your body whisper so you don't have to hear it scream. And
mm,
now my practice is whenever I feel even a little whisper of discomfort, whether it's my heart accelerating, and that's a sign of anxiety, whether it's fatigue setting on, which is a sign of depression, whether my mind starts spinning and overthinking, I just listen to it, I observe it, and I sit with it. And if I can, the best thing to do is to just sit in meditation and listen to it. I like to do
mm,
this practice where I cradle my difficult emotions like they're my children in my arms, and I ask them what they need from me.
mm.
And it's our responsibility to serve these emotions, because if we ignore them, then they're going to grow into ugly monsters that want to fight us. But my anxiety is a part of me, just like my joy and gratitude is a part of me, right? And I need to
Mhm.
feed that emotion so that um, it doesn't grow a tumor. Literally, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where a forest festers in my body that is now so daunting to control. So
Mhm.
if I could put it most simply, listen to your body whisper so you don't have to hear it scream. The practice that has really changed my life, which I also learned from this Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, is to avoid acting in the heat of an emotion. The best thing to do when something comes up, when somebody upsets you, when anything disturbs your peace, is to come back to yourself and breathe until you feel calm enough to act in a way that you won't cringe at down the line.
Mm.
Because I have said a lot of things that I regretted when I acted in the heat of the moment, and it's only made me feel worse.
Yeah.
So I really believe in the power of retreating into yourself to listen to that feeling, because it's nobody else's problem besides your own. If somebody upsets you, even if they did something that you would never do, that you look down on, it's nobody's problem but yours, because it upset you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So projection is overrated. And I do believe in the power of meditation and of cradling your emotions like a baby. I hope that answers your question. I'm happy to answer a more specific question, because I've dealt with anxiety for years and years. And that's probably the main thing that I love helping people with. It's like I get people with a lot of back pain, jaw tension, like you have or had, excuse me, and people who
Still
can't
have.
sleep properly, people who have trouble feeling awake in the morning. But anxiety is the one that I think is most prevalent, and the one that is most fun to solve. And I know that sounds crazy. Like, how is it fun to solve anxiety? But I think that it is really
Mm.
fun, because you will never be the same after you learn the tools.
Right. Once you learn, how can you go back?
Exactly.
Why no one yeah, I shouldn't say no one would wanna go back. I feel like it's easy to say that on this side of things, because 'cause I've also suffered anxiety. It's easy to say, "Why
Mm.
would I go back?" But I do remember the comfort of that's what I know. So it can
Yes.
be hard. It can be really
Yes.
hard to go to this side where I'm free, and don't to get me wrong, it does come up. Anxiety is going to come up, I think, for the rest of our lives. But like you said, listen to the whispers, not the screams. It gets a little less intense, a little less loud, a little less hardcore, and unbearable when it's like, hello, I'm feeling a little. It's like, yeah, it's just like a little kind reminder instead of a scream, like you're saying. So I love the whisper. Listen to the
Mm.
whispers before the yells.
There's this teacher named Ram Dass, who was born Richard Alpert, this
Mhm.
dude from Boston, and he comes from a Jewish family just like me. So he always puts these into Yiddish terms, which I love, and he calls all these little emotions little schmooze, which is a hilarious Yiddish word. Little schmooze is such a hilarious Yiddish phrase, because it just makes them seem like cute little animals. Like, I don't know if you've seen that film Inside Out. But
Yes.
that's a very powerful visualization for me because we all got a whole cast of characters up there, and we got to be
Mhm.
the director that manages them and keeps them in check because our brain does not control us no matter what we might think.
Mhm.
And the deeper we get into meditation practice, the more we understand that we are in control of our thoughts and we are actually the puppeteer of all those emotions.
You drop. If y'all are just listening, you didn't see that. I dropped the mic, metaphor or fakely. Um, that's yeah, Inside Out, big movie. I suggest to every single person ever. I'm like, just go watch it. I guess not everyone's a fan. Like my little cousin, he's like 12. He was like, I don't like that movie, and I was like, okay, well, I understand. Maybe later. So I guess for some, it's not the time, right? But I think everyone should watch it. It's so good, and deep and magical. And I love that you said, like, putting it into those images were work for you. And I feel like it's nice to put a face or a name or a sound or a smell to things. Like really calling out those feelings. What do they look like? What do they feel like? And if you have an image for them, I feel like you can kind of like separate it from you in a way.
Mm.
It's you, but it's like it's in you, but you can also be in charge like they do in Inside Out, like the running the buttons, like kind of just seeing it for what it is, giving it its moment, like you said earlier, with anxiety and depression, allowing that, allowing yourself to feel those emotions or hear those emotions. And if you give them their time, they won't be so pissed off and overflow.
Yes, they won't feel neglected.
There we
It rem-
go. That's a good word.
yes. Because they are your children and you have to treat them with love and respect. I mean, you ask a parent with lots of children, who's your favorite child? They won't choose. That's cruel to choose. So, like, how are you going to say you like feeling joyous more than feeling anxious? Of course,
Hmm.
one is easier than the other, but they both have something to teach you. It reminds me of this meditation that I do with some of my students called the movie theater meditation, where you simply imagine that you're sitting in a movie theater watching your thoughts on the screen
Mm,
and realizing that you are not your thoughts, you're just the observer of your thoughts
yeah.
is exactly what you're talking about. And we also have the power to pick up a remote control and flick through different channels to see what is going on in our subconscious mind and what channel we might not usually watch that we have the ability to put our awareness on. And the final layer of that guided meditation is to simply put your finger on the power button of the remote control and turn the screen off and realize that there is infinite space between thoughts if you let there be.
Wow. I love the practice of seeing yourself separate from your thoughts.
Mm,
It's magic. I have done this practice before where I like write me and then thoughts, and I'm like
mm,
there's space between them. Um
mm.
like they're not connected. They're literally two different things. and
Yes.
and yes, it's like part of us as our human bodies to like, of course we're going to think, if you can, right? Um, so it's not getting rid of it. It's just watching it and realizing we get to control it. Like you said, I love the way you said it. The movie theater, I'm going to write that in my toolbox because I need that one.
I'm about to share it with my newsletter next week, like a
Ooh.
transcript that you can listen to. Also, if you want to distill it into the most basic form, it's a 3-word mantra you can repeat to yourself during meditation, which is just space between thoughts. Space between thoughts. And if you repeat
I'm
it to
writing that down.
yourself, you will stop thinking. It's one of my favorites.
I'm going to text this to myself
I love
before
doing that.
I know. You should see. Mine is like recipes and mantras and random. What was it? Space between
Space between
thoughts.
thoughts.
I
Yes.
love this, and this is going to be written on my mirror
Mm.
for my morning. Like just a little reminder. Space between thoughts. Thank you for that wisdom. Um, yeah, I
Of
love. I
course.
love this conversation, and yeah, let's go to the next question, like
Mm.
a like an interviewer. Sometimes I'm like, anyways, um,
I
I'm
feel
like,
you. I feel you.
I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly growing, and I love to be transparent about that. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna claim perfect, and to me, that's what that bitch energy would be: is like fully transparent, fully open, fully myself.
Mhm.
Mhm. Okay, since we both have this connection with music, I wanted to ask you. There's a couple things here. So, have you ever tapped into the flow state as a musician? As I know you used to focus on music a little bit more before your yogi path. And also, have you experienced that same flow state through yoga? Oh, and here's the third part of the question. How do you connect the two? Or how do the two connect for you?
Mm. What a beautiful question. I do believe they're one and the same. No matter what the activity is, whenever you put your focus on something that is performance based, whether
Mhm.
you're on the yoga mat or you're on the drum throne, it's going to free up space for there to be space between thoughts. Um,
Mm.
it's exactly what we were talking about before. And it's amazing that you asked this question at this point because it's completely related. Where I don't know if you ever experienced this as a musician, but I used to perform a lot. And whenever I would get on stage and play drums, because I had been rehearsing, I wouldn't have to think about, okay, the next fill is this, the next song is this. I'll just be able to like think about whatever I wanted to think about. I'd be looking at the crowd like, oh, that person has a cool hat on. Or I'll be able to think about what I was eating for dinner. And at
I love it.
and at its best, that practice enabled me to stop my thoughts completely
Mhm.
where I was overtaken by the music. And the same thing happens during yoga. The amazing thing about yoga is that it makes you realize that your body is not you, just like your thoughts are not you. And
Mhm.
we're just using our bodies as vehicles at the end of the day. So the flow state allows me to have these out of body experiences where I'm realizing that I'm able to push myself past my limit of comfort. I can hold downward dog for 5 minutes straight because it doesn't actually matter. It's not me. It's not me that's experiencing the pain. And if I can tell myself that I'm okay, I will be okay. It's amazing how much more quickly our brain tells us that we're in trouble than we actually are in trouble. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And same with the flow state. It allows you to develop a sense of trust with yourself. So when I'm on stage, I can't afford to mess up. I can't afford to okay. I used to teach. Pardon this tangent. I used to teach elementary school music classes, and whenever my students would make a mistake, they would like throw their guitar on the ground and make a tantrum. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And
Yep.
I would tell them, yo, if there is one thing I teach you and you forget everything else, it's that as a musician, you better play off your mistakes. You know what I mean? Because if you make a mistake and make a show out of it, everyone's going to remember that. But if you make a mistake and you play it off like you did it on purpose or like you didn't even notice it happened, then nobody's going to know. And in the same way, it's like you can't afford to call attention to that on stage. So you have to put so much more trust in yourself and you have to have so much more
Mhm.
confidence in order to even get on stage and know that no matter what happens, I'm going to shine. So I mean, flow state is such a beautiful phrase for it. Presence is another beautiful way to put it. But anything where you are performing and you need to get it done is a beautiful way to have meditation in motion. So I'm so happy you asked that question. And I think that if you are a person who's listening to this and you don't have a hobby or a passion or an outlet for that kind of expression, I can't explain how much of an impact it can have on your mind and on your emotional state of being. I mean, you could get it from painting, you could get it from crocheting, you could get it from walking a dog. It really doesn't matter.
Yes, I would agree. I'm letting this land. Yeah, the being able to go through the motions of the song. And I love that you said, and the person in the crowd, you like, "Oh, what a cool hat." And, "Oh, what did I have for dinner?" Or, "What am I gonna have for dinner?" I love that you notice that and remember that from, like, being in a flow state on the stage, and I think it's magic because I have moments like that as well where I've been on stage and I almost sometimes feel like I'm out of body, even though I know I'm embodied, but I'm watching myself a little bit out of my
Mm.
body. Um, and that's why I really wanted to ask you because I don't think I've gotten there with yoga. I have not practiced as much. I do a lot of like Pilates and weights, and I do want to get back into my regular yoga practice. but I had a feeling that it would be connected somehow because I feel like if you've done it so many times, like you're saying with your rehearsals with the songs, you're rehearsing, with yoga. So like you've done the moves, you've done the things. So when you're showing up, I had to ask. I was like, there's got to be a flow state there, and presence, which I think are one and the same here. And that feeling, it's truly magic. I feel like it kept me alive
Mm.
for a while, um, before I got into other practices. Like music was the first feeling of true presence and true divinity, I guess, within. Um, so I had to ask you that question because I feel like you just have so much to offer us, and that's why I really wanted to ask that.
I would love to recommend another book on the topic of music and music as a way to achieve flow state, as a way to connect with the universe. It's called The Mysticism of Sound and Music by this Sufi
Mm,
master who is now passed, but it's a series of transcripts from lectures that he gave about why music is the ultimate form of worship and why, in his
mm,
opinion, and I'm starting to come around to this opinion too, it's the highest medium of art because it's the language of
mm,
the universe. Everything moves in a vibration, and music is just your creation of your personal vibration. So I really recommend that book, The Mysticism of Sound and Music. And if you're familiar with Sufi culture, you know how big music is and dance. And like I said, was in a band for 7 years, and music is still very much my first love because I don't believe it to actually be separate from yoga. And I can't wait to
mm,
return to performing, which will be very, very soon. But in this interim where I'm traveling without a drum kit, without a piano, I'm thinking about what kind of music I really want to make. And it's not
mm,
the rock pop music that I made with my previous group. It's worship music because I listen
mm,
to gospel music, I listen to Sufi music, I listen to Hindu ragas, and I just think about how when you separate it from its dogma, it's the most passionate music. I mean, look at the roof of the Sistine Chapel. Look at how beautiful Buddhist pagodas are, and
mm,
it makes me realize that the most the most passionate art throughout history has always been worship. And
mm.
so that's the kind of music that I want to make now without attaching it to a certain dogma or a certain practice. I think artists who are really good at it, I don't know if you're familiar with Cleo Soul or Erica Badu, but
Yes.
they are able to make music that just makes you feel alignment and connection without making you subscribe to a certain system of beliefs that has a lot of connotation that pre-exists around it.
Yes. Wow. I will read this book.
Mm.
This is a must, and I can't wait to get that book too. Even though I like write music and create music, I don't think I've read many books on music, which is strange. Like the books I've been reading are like, finding your dharma and
Mm.
uh, what did I just finish? Oh, loving what is. These are the books I've been reading. Why haven't I picked up a music book? So I thank you for putting that in my what's next, what's coming up for me. I
Mm.
feel like there's always so much room to grow, and I'm like, I just love it. I just want to learn and grow. So
Mm.
thank you for recommending that.
My absolute
Um,
pleasure.
yes, I want to like. There was something you said in there. I'm just gonna let it land real quick because I sometimes my brain goes somewhere else.
Take your time.
Um, it was in the beginning of the flow state. Oh man, it's lost on my mind at this point.
My grandma always says that if you can't remember what you wanted to say, let it go.
Let it go.
But if you want to, I've also been that dude in class where I like raise my hand, the teacher calls me, I'm like, what was I about to say? So if you need to take a few minutes to think about it, please be my guest.
No, that's okay. I mean, it if it's meant to be, it will show up. It will appear.
Mm.
Um, and since you've been talking about your travels, you're from New York. You're in what was the city you just flew into?
Phuket, Thailand.
Phuket, Thailand. Now you're in Phuket, Thailand. How do you spell that?
Phuket.
Okay, that's what I assumed it was spelt like. I've seen something with that. spelling.
Mhm.
Phuket, Thailand. Really cool, really cool. Is it any different than where you were before, in like a different city in Thailand? Does it look different?
Last night, I flew out of this really tiny island called Koh Samui,
Mm.
which had the most beautiful beaches I've ever been on. There was this one island off the coast where we went, and there were pigs everywhere, like these big black hogs, and we could feed them pineapple and cucumbers and pet them. It was amazing.
Oh, beautiful. I want to make my way to Thailand.
Mm.
Off the topic a little bit of what I was going at, but um, for someone who wants to travel like you, what are some recommendations to get them started? Maybe like they're not ready to go yet. They're a little nervous. They're a little afraid. And I guess everyone's story is so different, so that might be kind of hard to answer. But if you could tell anyone that's like, "Hey, Etai, I really want to travel the world. I want to go to Thailand. I want to go to Asia. I want to go and do it for 5 years or however long your plan is to be traveling." Similar to you, what are some tips or recommendations or advice that you would give to those people?
What a great question. I
Mhm,
love talking about this so much, and it's coming at such a poignant time because, as you know, my content is mostly around yoga, but
mhm,
I've been reflecting recently, especially around the turn of the new year, about how important, how much of a, how big of a part travel is in my story,
mm,
and how much has transformed my life. And I want to also post things that motivate people to travel because it changed my life. It popped my bubble irreversibly. Where I came from Manhattan, right? That's where
mhm,
That's where I was born. I lived there till I was 15. Then I moved to Brooklyn. So I've never lived anywhere besides New York City. And in New York City, you get a lot of programming about scarcity mindset around money, around thinking you need to work hard and neglect your health.
mm,
And traveling the world, I've realized that there are simply other perspectives out there. Not that one is better than the other, but they're simply different. And an educated person or an informed person is able to know better what's best for them. So, no matter what it is, you should travel 100%. So, how do you travel? What is some advice I would give to beginner travelers? I would say to start small and don't like, buy a one-way ticket to a place a 16-hour flight away if it's your first time solo traveling, because it can be overwhelming sometimes. And at the first thing is to become comfortable with yourself and to realize that when you are alone, you are forced to confront and question what your values are, what's important to you, and how
mm,
you want to spend your time. So this is something I never did personally, but I would imagine a great first step for someone who's curious but a little nervous is just to find the closest city they've never been to. Maybe it's a 2 hour drive away, maybe it's a quick little train, and just book a hotel there for 2 nights. And yes, it is an expense. Yes, it is going to cost money, but I believe it's the best way to spend your money because you are going to be in a new place alone where you don't know anyone. And I believe you don't really know who you are until you remove yourself from your regular environment and your regular routines. Because who are you when you basically spawn into a new map and you don't know anything? You have to think about what is the thing that I want to do. And
mhm,
that is going to turn you into your own best friend. And if that goes well, then I recommend going to another country because most countries in the world that I've been to, it's like slight variations in culture from region to region. But if you go to a place that you know you were going to get a level of culture shock, that is the best education in the world because we want our instinct is to judge and to even feel a little disgust at things that are different than what we're used to. But if you allow yourself to be respectful and to listen, you are going to learn so much more about your own flaws as well as what you love about where you're from. But you are going to have both sides to reference. And I think that's the most beautiful part of travel. So again, there's no one size fits all strategy. I think everyone must do it differently, but everyone must do it. And if you don't, you're depriving yourself of an experience that's going to change your perception of reality.
magic.
Mm.
I love that response. Just start small. Go to 2
Yes.
hours away, book the ticket, book the hotel, go by yourself, or, if you need to, with your bestie or whoever. Just
Mhm.
get out if you're afraid. Start small. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful first step and great advice.
Mm.
Um, Traveling is transformative. It changes, like you said, you know where you know what road to take to go to school or to work or to your best friends or your boyfriends or your girlfriends or whoever, right? You know every street. You know what's going to be over here. You know it's going to be, oh, they're building a new building. You notice that. And um but when you go to a brand new place, the brain starts working differently. You're right. And I feel like it forces you to figure things out you haven't maybe have had to since you were like a kid. And I
Mhm.
think that's so special, is to constantly challenge and be in a new environment. And also slapping yourself in a new environment. I don't mean slap like literal, but like going into somewhere new can really inspire you. Like seeing different colors, seeing mountains. Like I'm from Texas and it's like flat where I'm from. So when I go see mountains, I'm like, I'm so small. Like my perspective has changed. And then the world, and then when I see the stars late at night in a really like countryside, because I'm in the city, um, I feel that kind of perspective shift as well. So even as small as going to the countryside if you're in the city, or going to the city if you're in the countryside, to give yourself a first step. I just feel like starting small is just such a great, instead of going across the world for your first trip, you're going to be shocked.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
it could
love
be
Texas, by
scary.
the way.
Oh, me too.
What city do you live in?
So right now I live in Austin, Texas.
Mm.
Yes.
What a
If you're here,
magical
come on
place.
by. You're
I plan
welcome.
on coming. I plan on coming. I've been many, many times, both to perform and just to hang out.
So cool. Where'd you perform?
ACL Music Festival was awesome, and
Incredible.
Stubbs.
Okay, I haven't.
You know Stubbs?
I just moved here,
Oh, okay,
so
cool,
I'm
cool.
learning. But I know ACL, but Stubbs, I don't think I know.
It's an amazing restaurant that doubles as a concert venue.
Nice. I
Mm.
need to explore Stubbs and see what's
Mm.
going on there.
Austin is so magical.
Yes, there's a good energy here. I'm
Mhm.
originally born and raised in Houston, so it's just a couple
Mm.
hours, but much flatter there than Austin.
Yes, yes. You know White Oak Music
Um,
Hall?
yes,
I
love
performed
that
there
place.
as well.
Me too.
Mm.
The outside stage or the inside.
Inside.
Both beautiful stages,
Yeah.
all of it. Love that venue. I met some really cool people that work there when I was there performing, and it was a good vibe.
Mm.
That's
Amazing.
so cool. Um, Well, I hope that I can see you play someday. I'm always inspired by other musicians. And yeah, I just would love to see you play. Or if you have anything, maybe you can share it with me later. I'd love to watch because I haven't seen your
Mm.
music or heard it.
I will definitely send you some stuff. And my return to performance is inevitable, and I can't wait till we grace the same stage. That would be amazing. And please send me your
Nice.
music too. I would love to hear it.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to send.
Mm.
My yeah, my music has shifted. If I show you some old stuff, it's like completely different. And
Mm.
like you were saying about the wanting to write gospel and more like um just gospel music and spiritual music, I'm kind of feeling the same, or I am feeling the same pull, the same guidance to switch it up. But I'm constantly, I'm like, I want to do both. It's all I get all because I write a little bit of pop R&B
Mm.
mixture with soft rock. It's like a whole mixture of genres. What is genre? I have no clue. Uh, and but yeah, I can relate with you a little bit on that. Is wanting
Mhm.
to uplift the world and share that divine presence through music. And yeah, it's pulling me as well. So that's really cool. You mentioned that.
Mm.
Beautiful. I want to ask, what has been the most like surprising moment you've experienced on your solo travel journey? Like what's something that you just never would have expected and it just showed up for you on this journey?
I
That's
have so,
hard.
so many things come to mind. So many things come to mind. The most recent one is that I just posted on my Instagram story about 2 days ago. I was like, I'm pulling up to India. If you're from India, please say what's up. So, because I would love to hang out. And I got flooded. And it was the most heartwarming feeling ever to know that this place that honestly I've heard very mixed things about, but I've always been curious about. And I've even been warned by people from India, like, yo, be careful. Um, and I won't go into more detail, but it's a huge place, and as
Hmm.
far as places to solo travel, it feels ambitious by my standards. But to know that I am going to enter that country where hundreds of people are waiting to welcome me and just send me good energy, whether I meet them or not, was so surprising because when I left New York in May, I had never posted an Instagram reel before. And it's so inspiring to know that because of that journey I've gone on with sharing yoga with people, the blessing is returning to me in a way that I never would have expected, which is that
Mm.
people have been inviting me into their home for meals. People have been inviting me to stay with them and show me around different monasteries and ashrams. And
Mm.
I just feel so thankful for that.
Mm.
My second answer is that I was in Indonesia and I was riding around on a motorbike and I got in a gnarly accident on the motorbike. And that was surprising because a lot of the times when you're 22, as I am, you have an instinct to feel invincible and like nothing can bring you down. But happened like very early on in my journey, and it was very humbling and made me realize that no matter what you're doing, safety is always number one. Like all ambition, all good intentions are useless if they're paired with recklessness. So
Mm.
I'm thankful that that happened to me at such an early point where I realized I had to check myself and not push myself too hard.
Mm.
Um, so I didn't expect either of those things to happen, but the universe always gives us what we need, not necessarily what we want.
100%. The fact that you put it out there, the going to India and the love you received, it's like showing you're in alignment with your next, with what you want for yourself next. Like it's like
Mm.
it's showing up, you're showing up and it's showing up for you. And that's beautiful. Like
Mm. Yes, thank you for affirming that. I'm so excited to
mhm.
be there. I've dreamt about this country for so long, and I know it's going to be amazing.
Ugh, I wish you nothing but great. I haven't been myself and I also
Mm.
a place I really want to go to.
Mm.
So I can't wait to hear about your experience. And I know you have travel journals. So I feel like I must. I mean, I should have been reading it before this, but especially in India, now that it's like we've talked and like I can connect, and I really want to read your India
Mm.
travel journals and even go back and see some of your Thailand. Where else have you been before Thailand?
How much
Nepal.
time you got?
uh, I'm happy to hear it all. I'm here for it.
Over the past 8 months, I've been well, after Nepal, I've been to Indonesia, Malaysia, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, Vietnam, now Thailand, and next India.
Magic. I'm so inspired by your journey. I just want to
Mm.
say. And I can only imagine that it's not your norm going from New York to solo traveling across the other side of the world. I just think it's really cool and brave, and it shows your strength and your commitment to like your path and your journey, and it's
Mm.
beautiful to watch. So it's inspiring, truly.
That means so much. That means like the world to me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're just you being you, living your life the way you find fit, and the what's calling to you is like giving everyone else a permission slip. And I just want to
Mm.
thank you for allowing that, because we need more. We need more. We just need more of that, I think. But
Mm.
you know, when you see people doing things in alignment with them, with their purpose and their highest self, they're that bitch energy. Um, it's inspiring, and it ripples, it's like a domino effect. It starts to hit other people, and it's hitting me. So thank you for that.
And thank you for creating this platform where we were able to have this conversation where so many people can receive it and hopefully be
Mhm.
positively impacted by it. It means the world to me, and I also really admire your journey.
Thank you. And let's see. Do you have time for a couple more, a little longer, or what's your
Yes,
time
I
frame?
do. Yes, I do.
Yay! Okay. I have a couple more things to ask because I'm really curious to know. Um, let's say someone comes to you who feels extremely disconnected from their body, from their sense of self. Where do you suggest they begin? And like what's like the easiest start if there is one, right? If there's one for fits all, or if there's 10, that's fine too. But what do you think of when someone comes to you disconnected and out of their body?
So there's two level to it. There's in the moment fixes and there are routines. So
Mm,
if you are in the moment and you're feeling very dysregulated and you need to perform but you're not feeling prepared, the best thing that I would recommend that I think everybody can understand the benefits of is to go to a private place, put on your favorite song and dance with your eyes closed.
mm,
And I mean, I could think of many other exercises that have the same purpose, but that one is just the fastest way to release oxytocin and dopamine and cultivate a state of confidence and love and awareness and joy and gratitude. So that would be like if you need to pick yourself up quickly, just put on your favorite song and dance around to it, but make sure no one's perceiving you. Make sure you're not even perceiving yourself because a lot of
mm,
times we dance in order to look cool rather than in order to connect with spirit. So dancing even in a dark room with your eyes closed is going to foster that connection that and you're going to find yourself doing dance moves that you never thought you would do that other people might giggle at, but it doesn't matter because nobody's seeing you and you're in a safe space. So that would be number one. In terms of rituals, I mean, my theory on this is always evolving as I continue to help more people and I continue to go down my own journey. But the four things that I would recommend to anyone who's feeling dysregulated: number one, exercise, and it doesn't matter what you do. Dancing could be your exercise. Walking could be your exercise. If you do it outside, that's even better. But something to get your heart rate up because when you exercise, you elevate your stress threshold. And so let exercise be the hardest thing you do all day. Do it at the beginning of your day so that nothing else will stress you out as much as the exercise that you push yourself through. Because if you push your own body to the limit, it will be so much harder for other people to disturb your peace. The second thing is meditation. And when I say meditation, I don't mean empty your thoughts and think about nothing and pretend you're a monk. I mean simply enjoy the act of sitting because making time for stillness is a act of rebellion against the system that wants to keep you distracted and wants to keep you anxious. And you can start with 5 minutes a day. You can work your way
mhm,
up if you feel like it, but just sit down with your eyes closed and make time for stillness because a lot of people believe they don't have time for stillness. When you tell yourself you do, amazing things will happen. The third thing is journaling. Like we were talking about the morning pages earlier, I think of it as a way of ironing out your thoughts. And our thoughts will always confuse us, but our pen and our voice will never lie to us. For that reason, you can replace journaling with speaking out loud in the mirror. I love talking to myself in the mirror. I find that they both serve similar purposes where you are going to figure out how you actually feel. And you are going to realize that positive speech casts spells that can change your life. Um, and so the fourth thing would be, and this is the hardest one for me and for everyone, limiting escapism. So
mm,
everybody has a different vice, but whatever form of escapism you reach for when things get tough, I want to personally challenge you to, like we were talking about earlier, just sit with the difficult emotion and listen to it and ask it what it needs. Because if you rush to consume a substance, to scroll on your phone, to talk to that person that you might have a bit of a toxic relationship with, you are going to bury that, suppress
mm,
it, and it's going to fester into a tumor in your body. Um, and obviously, the word tumor is very loaded, but I mean in the metaphorical sense where this thing is going to grow, it's going to demand to be fed. But if you look at it right in the moment, then it can't plant its roots in your body, in your tissue. So those would be the four things the four very simple habits. They each take possibly 5 minutes a day that can regulate your emotions and just raise your baseline of consciousness and self control. Once again, it's exercise, meditation, journaling, and limiting escapism. I hope that answers your
mm.
question.
Yes, beautifully. beautifully. And thank you for your, yes, I love that answer. For someone listening, oh, wait, no. If you could give a mantra to anyone, the listener, anyone who might see this, whoever, to inspire them to find that freedom and that and confidence within, what would that mantra be? Just one mantra.
Mm. Okay. My desires, my needs, and my fears all come from God, and therefore they are valid.
mm, I'm letting that land. Valid. They're valid.
And one more, just for fun.
Okay.
Nothing that's meant for me will pass me by.
Mm. And that brings a peace. That brings a peace for me. I mean, of
Mm.
course, anyone can um, absorb and let it land differently for them. But for me, that just you saying just that words had a frequency that gave me peace.
Mm.
The
I'm so
sound,
happy to
the
hear that.
tone. Hmm. So thank you for those mantras. Let's all write it down. Let's all put it
Mm.
on our phones. Set a reminder, daily reminder, right there,
Mhm.
for it to pop up.
Yes, yes.
Um, and I have a question. What's next for you? Where do you hope this journey takes you physically and spiritually next?
Mm.
Loaded, loaded question.
So I love this question. It's something I've been meditating on a lot. Of course, everybody does this around the new year. A lot of
Mm,
people do. And I've been
mhm,
thinking a lot about where I've been over the past year and where I want to go. If you talked to me a year ago, I was in a very different place. I was lost, confused, anxious, scared to make a very brave choice. Now I made that choice, and my life has transformed, and I've learned the power of risk taking. You know, again, risk taking devoid of recklessness. And
mm,
so my two main goals for 2025 are: number one, to make 2025 my most prolific year yet in terms of creativity. I want to post even more yoga videos, post travel videos that inspire people to get out of their comfort zone. I want to return to recording music. I want to write more journals and turn them into published books. I want to record and release guided meditations. And I want to make that my spiritual practice. I want to show up for myself consistently, knowing that I can increase my output past what I thought is possible, and not have it be draining, have it be healing, and have it be medicinal for me and for all the people who listen to it. Um, my second goal, well, okay, it might be more than two. I'm not gonna lie. My second goal is to combine in-person yoga classes with concerts. There's nothing that I would love more than to travel the world, teaching people, giving people the feeling of a yoga class and giving people the feeling of a yoga concert, combining movement and mindfulness with music.
mm,
That is a big goal of mine. As far as travel, I'm gonna be returning to New York this spring, this summer, to connect with my family and reground. And sometime in July, I'm going to be heading to Europe. I was invited to teach at a music festival there, and I'm going to take it as an opportunity to visit a lot of my supporters around the continent. And hopefully, that will be the beginning of life, the second phase of my touring life, of my performing life. And so I'm really looking forward to that.
yes.
And finally, my main goal for 2025 is to examine, being vulnerable here, my blockage as it relates to making and spending money, because I've been traveling a lot and I've been very frugal. But luckily, I've been working online as a music producer in order to support it. But I want to, in this new year, ethically and consciously and thoughtfully make money from teaching yoga. And I'm still figuring out the best way to do that while still offering resources to people who are not inclined to pay, because I do believe that everybody deserves to hear this. But I believe that there's value to the work that I do. And I would love to be rewarded for it in a way that I can continue my travels and I can continue to teach on a higher scale. I can rent out venues where I can teach yoga to more people, and I can invest that energy, that monetary energy, back into my mission. I have dreams of opening schools all over the world where I teach yoga and music. I have dreams of scaling my content operation to be even more prolific with my output and help as many different people dealing with as many different pain points as possible. And so, in order for those dreams to be realized, I have to um, I have to look at my relationship with the energy of money and nourish it
Mm,
and feed it. So that's where I'm going next. I know it was a lot of different things there, but I appreciate the question because I'm still working it out in my head. Actually, tonight I have a plan to make a vision board, which is a trend that I've seen so many people doing. I've never done before, but I'm like, that looks so fun, and I'm just gonna
mhm.
print out a collage or print stuff out and make a collage and have fun with it.
Wow, what a beautiful answer there. And when you were speaking, I could see the light in your eyes and in your
Mm,
aura just shine of like this this is so magical what's coming up in your vision and coming up for you and your goals and your dreams and in money. I like to look at money as energy, like an energy exchange. That sometimes helps me with my block. I also have a block with money and making and spending, um, that I don't fully understand, but I do notice when I think of it as an energy exchange, I have changed my outlook on it. And
mm,
that's just one little thing I thought I would add in there. You inspired me to say as that,
mm,
um, instead of just, I don't know, I feel like if we just think of it as this like paper, I don't know, it doesn't, when I thought of it in a different light, it just changed my perspective. So
mm. I
it
appreciate that a
may,
lot.
yeah, I may or
It
may not
definitely
land.
resonates.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Something about energy exchange. I'm like, oh, it clicked for me. And I still need to have more clicks with money. I'm still learning as well. So I
Mm,
can relate with you. But thank you for your answer. And I hope to see your yoga music festival or performance or show, whatever, however big you want that to be. I hope to see that in person. I would love to be there supporting, going through the movements, and enjoying the music at the same time. Um,
mm.
and I do have to ask, where can the listener find you? Because maybe not everyone has you yet on Instagram. I know I found you because I think it was meant to be. I was manifesting you in my life. I was manifesting your wisdom. I was manifesting your beautiful outfits. I love everything you're wearing all the time. I'm like, ooh, I want to buy something like that. But I think I manifested you in my heart. So where can the listener find you in case they haven't found you yet?
So, my main channel right now is on my Instagram page. My name is Etai Abramovich. You can look me up there. My username is THUGTAI Thugtai. Don't ask. I made it in seventh grade and I can't change it. And I'm just recently starting YouTube where I'll be posting guided meditations, long form yoga videos, and travel adventures. Again, Etai Abramovich, same username. And you can find me there as well. And in the future, it's not happening yet, but I will be making a podcast where I post guided meditations, and that will be on all streaming platforms. I think that's about it.
Perfect. I'm going to put it in the show notes. But I did want to ask you, just sometimes people don't go to the show notes. So I want to
Mm,
see that they listen to you or that they hear
thank
it.
you.
Of course. Honestly, I feel blessed. I feel very, again, I'll say it again, honored that you
Mm,
have gifted me this moment with you, this conversation with you, your
mm,
wisdom, your perspective, your light, your wisdom. I said wisdom already, but all just everything that you stand for and the aura that you bring. And I feel like it's so needed. And, you know, people who watch my podcast, which is like not the biggest number, but it will grow. Um, Sometimes I think a perspective shift is needed. And I just appreciate you offering your
mm.
perspective to the world. So I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Seriously. And as we're speaking, I can see how intentional, how thoughtful, and how present you are. And I feel warmed being in your presence. I had so much fun doing this.
Etai. Thank you so much. I can't wait to do another episode with you down the line. It's going to be so important and special to me. Um, and thank you for your time. I hope you have a beautiful day because for you it's daytime and for me it's night. Um,
And I hope you have sweet dreams.
oh, I will. I feel honestly, I don't know how I'm going to go to sleep because I feel really energized, but that's a good sign that yeah, you just brought such a breath of fresh air and I just yeah, it's yeah, I love to
Thank
receive
you.
that
Thank
energy
you.
from you. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in with me and Etai to That Bitch Energy, the podcast. And I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Bye.
Ain't nobody seen a bitch like me. I'ma come up on ya. Ain't nobody warned ya.